Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. I'm joined by my host, boxing Hall of Fame writer, and all-around sports. What did we say the other day, Jack?
Guru. Analyst.
Oh, analyst. Yeah, guru's a new
I'm
word.
not quite a guru with all the wrong predictions.
Sports guru, Jack Hirsch. Good morning, Jack. How are you?
I'm good personally, sports-wise, not so much, Keith.
Jack's had to move into the witness protection program as Sonia Pearson is looking for him.
The Jet offense is in the witness protection program. Are you kidding me? The FBI can't guard anyone as well as they could guard their lack of points. They're hiding the Jet points. I mean, wow, what a job.
I got to tell you, just New Jersey football in general is kind of a mess right now. I mean, the Jets are a story we'll talk about in a second, but you can't go anywhere without talking about the Giants. Even if you're an NFL fan at all, you not only blow a 19-0 lead going into the fourth quarter, but you're up 18 with 5 minutes left in the game, and you go ahead with a minute left, minute 30, whatever it was, and you still find ways to lose this game. So you lost this game like a bunch of times. What is going on here? And is this something that Ryan Daboll comes back from?
Keith, if you tried to fix a game with your defense, you couldn't give away 33 points in the quarter because no one would believe it. You'd be brought up on charges. It's unheard of. You'd be called into the commissioner's office. You threw the game, 33 points in the quarter. Who are you kidding? It's a complex thing, Keith, when you're a fan of a team and there are two teams in that town.
Yeah.
I mean, instinctively, fans are trained not to like the other team. For example, if you're a Mets fan, you don't like the Yankees and vice versa. If you're a Jet fan, you don't like the Giants and vice versa. I never subscribed to that theory, but yesterday I was so disgusted with the Jets. I was indifferent when it came to the Giants. I wasn't rooting for them to beat Denver. I was kind of on the fence. I couldn't give a darn if they won, they lost the game. But I'm watching the game unfold, and the Giants are looking great, Keith. And I'm thinking to myself, they're 2-4 now. They're about to go to 3-4. This team has so much upside. They're a genuine playoff contender, because they're going to play really well the rest of the season. They're going to have a winning record. Maybe they'll go to 10-7, a decent chance to make the playoffs. Who cares if they get knocked off in the first game of the playoffs? It would be such a leap forward. Things look so promising for the Giants for the future at that point. And then it all caved in. How did it happen? And I have a theory, Keith, that no one's mentioned this morning. Just a theory, and I bet you haven't even thought of it.
I have a thought, but it might be different. Go ahead.
Okay, the altitude. I'm going to make an excuse. The altitude, I think it just got to them. They hit a wall the way a marathoner's leading at 20 miles, 23 miles, and then they hit a wall and there's nothing left at all. And that's my theory. But regardless, if we're going to use, and I'm going to be done in a second because I'm curious about your thoughts, but that's not a good enough excuse because that gives you a ticket. Oh, I can never win in Denver because whenever I go there because of the altitude. So I don't, it's not an excuse, but I think that's what happened at the end of the game.
It is a factor in every game played there. I mean, I've seen Patriot games going back to the 80s when they'd go there and they'd be ahead. I remember a playoff game there had 21-10 going into the fourth quarter. They lost the game. But again, if altitude was the only thing that mattered, then nobody would ever win there except Denver, right? And maybe they wouldn't win. I guess they'd all be ties. But again,
well, they lived there throughout the year, so they're more adjusted to it.
It's a factor in the game. What I don't understand, and again, I'm not saying this was a factor in the overall outcome of the game. Here's something I do not understand about Brian Daboll and his decision-making. They go up 19-0. You tell me why he's going for 2-point conversion there. I'm not saying that, and again, they lost the game by 1, but we don't know how it plays out. So I'm not saying that's why they lost by 1. But there's no reason to go for, I get it, you're up 3 touchdowns. But if you kick the extra point, you've got to score 3 touchdowns to beat me. Without it, you can get 2 touchdowns and a field goal with 2 conversions. You take the 20-0 there every time. I don't know what he's doing.
I agree with you completely. One of the things that drives me crazy, Keith, with these NFL coaches, the way they chase the points.
Awful.
You don't go for a 2-point conversion unless you really have to do it at a certain point in the game. I can understand you go up 5 points late in the game, there are 2 minutes left on the clock. You don't kick the extra point. You go for the 2-point conversions. We tried to make it 7 instead of 6, something like that. But in fairness to the ball, even though I agree with you 100%, Gano missed the kick, then he went out of the game. He was injured. Yeah. And their backup kicker then missed an extra point.
Yeah, I get that.
Sometimes these coaches, when you miss an extra point kick in the beginning, you feel you have to make it up. But you don't. But these coaches, when they go for the 2-point conversion, they only think of how things are on the current sense. They don't think of how the game can unfold later on and how much they could need that point later.
You got to think ahead, and that is the ultimate definition of chasing points, right? If you miss 1 extra point, now you go for 2 to try to get the point back, and it's silly, depending on the circumstances. And I'm always sitting by these guys watching games who are the smartest guy in the room, and they say, "Well, analytics say you go for 2 you go for 2." Analytics, it is right that there is a better chance overall of getting 2 points than 1. I'm sorry, not better chance, but your overall chances of winning are better when you go for 2. But that's only if you do it every single time. You can't pick and choose when you do it. The analytics go out the window then. So,
but that wasn't the controversy this morning. Now, the best player on the Giant team, it's always debatable, but I'd say it's clearly to me Brian Burns is the best player on the team, position for position. The way he's performed this year, he's been one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. And again, yesterday, he applied relentless pressure. And at the end of the game, I'll remark, there wasn't nothing with momentum, Danny. I know you
actually,
but at the end of the game, on the last drive, they only rushed 2 passes. And they weren't putting pressure, on Denver.
Yeah.
And they allowed Bo Nix all this time to hit a long pass. And that's the strongest part of the Giant team by far is their pass rush, by far. And they kind of took that away. And it was I don't want to call it a prevent defense, but you know what it kind of reminded me of a little bit? And I'm going to a different sport when the Giants hardly put on a pass rush. It's when Rick Pitino, when he was coaching at Kentucky and they played Duke, and Duke took the inbounds pass, and the other all the way down the court. He didn't have anyone pressure the inbounds passer. He removed them. He gave them a free throw. He was playing a prevent defense. And we've heard the term. The only thing it does is prevent you from winning.
100%. And, again, I get it. You're up 19, fourth quarter. You try to keep plays in front of you and whatnot, but you can't just because you're going to go up big chunks of yardage. And Jackson Dart throws a big interception, unfortunately for him, in the fourth quarter.
He's a title. He's a rookie. It happens. I give him a pass there. It was a turning point. But Jackson Dart, when he people forget what this Giant team, what happened to him yesterday, it's going to rate as one of the great collapses during the regular season game in NFL history. But in reality, it wasn't really a complete collapse because people are going to forget the Giants came back and went ahead.
Yeah.
It reminds me much of the 1978 Boston Red Sox. We hear about their great collapse, but they won the last 8 games of the regular season to force a tie after collapsing. So
that's why you got to make field goals harder. They got to make the field goals harder somehow. I'm not big a fan of rule changes, that, but the field goals are too easy, and you got to gain 30 yards from the kickoff.
Listen, Giants missed a couple extra points.
Well, for the most part, they're easier.
It's still unpredictable. Maybe they should change the kickoff rule because for the most part, teams are getting very good field position on the kickoffs now. But that had nothing to do with that.
Just to comment, just to touch on Danny's comment about momentum. I was actually going to use the word.
Danny's joking around. He gets
well,
a kick out of it.
I was seriously going to use the word when they scored that point to go up 19-0 and didn't kick the extra point. You end up with a negative play now, and that does change a little bit. It affects momentum a little bit in the game, because I know you believe in momentum in an individual game.
Mindset, Keith. No, I agree with you 100%. You score a touchdown and you don't make the extra point, either missed kick or you went for two, you feel something's missing. You know what it is, Keith? It's like they took away half of your dessert. You had your meal, whatever. Instead of having a tray of cookies, they put one cookie down for you. I know you like to gouge the cookies there, but
you
whatever.
take a cookie away from me, you're liable to lose a finger. I'll tell you that right now. So
yeah.
Chris, I caught this. Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't hit the mute. I only turned it down. So thank you. The music should be stopped now. My bad.
Yesterday, I want to apologize to those listening to the Big Football Show. We had a technical glitch the last 15 minutes of the show. That's a story in itself, where we got cut off.
I heard that Sonia got her 2 cents in and then turned the show off so nobody else could comment on what she said. And that's true? That's not true? That's my story.
But the Giants yesterday, terrible loss. And I'm going to tell you what I hate about these commentators, Keith. And I'm talking about the commentators across the board. Talk about what a disastrous loss it was for the Giants. But you know what I hear? Oh, what a wonderful future they have. They could take things out of this game. Jackson Dart's growth. Scatterburg running with reckless abandon. I don't want to hear what they can take out of this game. They're taking little out of this game. I don't want them to dwell on the positive. If Brian DeBall dwells on the positive with this team, that's telling him it's okay to lose with dignity. You're losing with dignity. Oh, you played a tough team. Look how close you played them. You could have won the game, but blah, 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 blah. It's a loss. A loss. Had the Giants won, they would have been 3-4 and a team on the upswing. Now they're 2-5, Keith. Let's concentrate on this season. Yeah. Even if the Giants go 7-2 they're 3-4. They have 10 games left. Even if they go 7-3 the rest of the way, they'll be 9-8 and probably not make the playoffs. And I wouldn't bet on them going 7-3.
They're not going 7-3.
Talented enough to play well the rest of the year. Big missed opportunity.
Look, I believe, as you do, I'm not a big fan of moral victories, right? Because victories are only shown one place, and that's in the standings. But you can take away positives and build on them. But what you really have to do, hell, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, they liked losses actually more than wins, because they could actually coach after losses better than they could after wins. Nick Saban talks about it all the time. But they were also winning most of their games. They weren't losing most of their games. That's a little bit of a different story in this situation. And I think the guy who doesn't get any kind of victory out of this at all, moral or any other kind, is Brian Daboll. The rest of them, hey, the kids will learn from this at some point. If they don't get better. But the coach is going to suffer for this loss. Maybe.
Well, the only lesson that can be learned, okay, the only lesson going forward, no matter what lead you have, it's maybe never safe. Unless the lead is so ridiculously big. You know, if you're leading 41-0 with 3 minutes to go, the lead is safe, obviously. But maybe going forward, it's something to remember. But that's a lesson for any team. But players forget. I mean, look at yesterday, the Cowboy Commander game. C.D. Lamb running for touchdown. Before he gets to the end zone, he's holding the ball out like this, like that, where the ball could come loose, slip out of his hand. But players still continue to do that despite the follies we've seen before them. They still continue. They don't learn. And maybe one of the drills should be practice running past into the end zone, holding the ball tight. As soon as you get in the end zone, you could start circling around and, going into your entertainment mode.
If I was a coach, I'd tell him to watch film of Barry Sanders where he goes in the end zone and hands the ball to the referee. Love Barry Sanders because he said, I want to act like I've been there before and I expect to be back.
It's funny like celebrations about, remember the giant great receiver, Homer Jones?
Oh, yeah.
He'd take the ball and he'd spike it. That would be the thing. You'd slam the ball down and you'd spike it.
Didn't Homer Jones run back a kickoff in the very first Monday Night Football game for the Browns? Was it Homer Jones?
Yeah, that's the one that you have to remind me of another Jets loss.
Jets Browns, yeah.
31-21 in the Joe Namath era. They played the first Monday night game and they Jets lost it. Yeah.
Excellent segue to talk about a team that has had really nothing but moral victory since 1969. The Jets.
No, we've been more than moral. They've been worse. No. In all fairness,
good line. Leave me. Don't step on it. It was a good line.
You're trashing my team. I gotta cut in, Keith. You're trashing my team. I mean, they deserve to get trashed.
There's a lot of material here, Jack.
Let me trash them. It's like let me keep it in the family. Like family members could trash one another. But I don't want a Patriot guy trashing my team.
I can understand why you wouldn't, but that's good. So anyway, it's got to be it's got to be frustrating to watch this week after week. And where is the silver lining here? There's no quarterback on the horizon because there's nobody that good in the draft. By the way, if you get the first draft pick, you might better trade it because there's nobody that good. The guys who are free agents, as far as I can see, you're likely to get another Neil O'Donnell if you just bring in one of those guys. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel that isn't an oncoming train for this team?
I forgot what Rob Gronkowski said during the halftime show. They're going over the halftime highlights on TV there. So I'm going to paraphrase. But they asked him his opinion, and he was very succinct to the point, short. He said, "This is boring, the Jet game. The Jets are so boring." And they are. They were putting me, Keith. Normally when the Jets play, they have my undivided attention.
Yeah.
If I have to do anything, I'll run during the commercial very quickly, and then I'll be glued to the TV. But yesterday, man, oh man, I was like, I was going on my iPad, checking a couple of things. I couldn't take it. I was exasperated. And who do we blame there? I mean, the Jets really don't have as talented as a team maybe is made out to be. They have some good players on there. Don't get me wrong. And the defense has played well in all fairness. In all fairness, the defense has played well, but on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, Justin Fields doesn't have the weapons. He doesn't have the blockers. And even if he did, he's just not that good. I mean, he could do some good things on the right circumstance. But you're right. Quarterback isn't the only problem with the Jets. They need an offensive line. But I'm going to tell you something.
You still need a quarterback.
If you watch the game yesterday carefully, and I did watch it carefully despite my remark a second ago, in the first half, Justin Fields was under constant pressure, and he was like a deer in the headlights. At least with Tyrod Taylor, he was able to handle that pressure somewhat, escape it, get rid of the ball. And there were open receivers, but the problem is Tyrod Taylor made some terrible throws. He had no arm strength, awful throws, but he did handle the pass rush better than Justin Fields.
I think they scored still 10-3, I think, or maybe 13-6, maybe it was then. He's got, I think it was Wilson. I'm not sure. He's wide open.
Alan Lazard.
Delivered the ball late. The guy's wide open, but he throws the ball late and underthrows it. And, they should win that game yesterday. Sorry. And you know what? Your comment about boring. It's one thing to be bad. It's another thing to be bad and boring, and that makes it even worse for the fan base because there's nothing to even hope for.
But we want to talk about culture, and I know Brian was talking to me about Aaron Glenn and the culture, and it sometimes takes time to set a culture. I'll give you that. But what makes you think things are going to get better in the coming weeks for the rest of the year?
I don't see him winning.
You're a Jets supporter. And what makes you think things are going to get so much better in the off season? Are we trending towards anything better? You see, at least with the Giants, as disastrous a loss as it was, and the loss was a complete disaster, the Giants are, as a team, at least they're trending in the right direction. They really are trending in the right direction.
I agree.
Yeah, but the Jets, what are they trending towards? What makes you think Justin Fields is going to be better next year? Look, the Jets, the last couple of drafts in the first round, they drafted offensive linemen. I mean, that hasn't solved the problem. I know Elijah Vera Tucker's out there. Yeah, everyone has injuries. And
these quarterbacks aren't the answer,
by the way. The Panthers, the team with no pass rush. They got more sacks in yesterday's game than they got in all the games combined for the season. Think of that. That's that.
I see three places the Jets can win a game, and neither one of them is going to be easy. They're at Cincinnati. They got the Browns, who are playing a little better. You're not beating the Patriots. You're not beating the Ravens. You're not beating the Falcons. You might beat the Dolphins. Jaguars.
Well, I'm calling on your expertise. Is there anyone worth it in the draft who would be the first player overall? What's important to go first?
I would trade out of that position if I had the number one pick. Right now, as we talk today, I do not see a guy that stands out as especially a quarterback. There's not a quarterback, definitely. And you know how I feel about quarterbacks.
The Jets had a number one overall on the Bill Parcells. They bypassed the chance to draft Orlando Pace, who turned out to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
You know, who did they get? James Farrier, a couple other picks. As great a coach as Bill Parcells was, and he's one of the all-time great coaches, even though I know you're not overly fond of him, as far as being a personnel director, making moves, he wasn't good. He wasn't good, Bill Parcells, at recognizing talent, unless the talent was right there for him already.
Yeah, listen, about Bill Parcells, I've always said this. He's a great, great, great coach. I will never take that away from him. He's just not a good personnel.
Terrible. He didn't want Terry Glenn.
He barely wanted Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, yeah.
Now he pushes it off on somebody else, but he was in love with Rick Meyer.
Yeah, he could have had Matt Ryan, which he later admitted was a mistake in the draft. You know, he took Jake Long, obviously a great offensive lineman, but we knew how good Matt Ryan was, the third overall pick, and they needed a quarterback at the time, you know, when he was involved with the Dolphins. And he didn't want Rodney Hampton, who the Giants drafted as a running back.
It was a pretty good pick.
Tremendous value. And he wanted Darian O'Connor, lineman, who was decent, but not quite at the caliber Hampton, and so on.
Brian, the reason Brian brought up Wilson and Cousins before. Listen, a team where the Jets are not going to be any better with Wilson or Cousins playing quarterback. They're just not.
Well, oh, come on. That's nonsense.
That's where I compared Neil O'Donnell to.
That is complete nonsense. I mean, first off, there are two facts. Russell Wilson, come on. Russell Wilson is gassed out. You may as well play Tyrod Taylor if you're playing Russell Wilson. If you gave me a choice, Russell Wilson, Tyrod Taylor, I'll tell you that Wilson is marginally better now at this point. But big deal. I mean, there's a reason Wilson isn't the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. Exactly. There's a reason he's not the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a reason he's not the starting quarterback of the New York Giants. The guy who's lost 3 starting positions in a row. You want the Jets to have him, and what's he going to do? No. I mean, what's he going to do for them going forward? It's nonsense.
Listen, I've been a supporter.
Russell Wilson is a backup to a good quarterback. Yeah, Russell Wilson has value as a backup.
I think Cousins can play, but I don't think he can play. I think he needs to be on a good team. We know he needs to be on a good team. We see how he plays on bad teams, and he doesn't play that well. So, plus he's old. There's no future. You're not winning this year. You're not winning. There's no playoff hope. Cousins is, how old is he? 38 years old? I mean.
Yeah, we have a difference of opinion on Cousins. Cousins isn't the quarterback he was, and he's not a starting caliber quarterback.
Unless you're Tom Brady, nobody is at 38 as good as they were.
No, I forget Cousins. And with all the money he's getting, why would the Falcons want to give him away and pay all that money? Because the Falcons still could contend for playoff berth despite the loss yesterday. And Cousins might actually have value. If Penix has to go out, why pay another team? Why pay for Cousins for another team to have him when you might need him as an insurance policy?
Agreed. Let's pivot to some other games around the league that I found intriguing. I think the 49ers win last night over those Falcons we were just talking about was a good win. They scored late. McCaffrey was just great. We see how great McCaffrey is when he's healthy. Mac Jones played efficient football again. The defense was much better. The Falcons, every time they seem to take a step forward, they take a step back. The 49ers, who I did not have a lot of hope for this year, are playing some pretty good football, leading that division right now, or tied for that division at 5-2.
You got to help me out with this. Straighten me out, because I don't see why everyone is going crazy about Daniel Jones.
Well, I have him on the list.
Quiet on Mac Jones. They say, yeah, Mac is doing a good job. He's filling in. He's doing a nice job. They throw him kind of like a condescending compliment, it seems, compared to Daniel Jones. But Daniel Jones, MVP candidate. What is the big difference between the Joneses? Is there that big a difference? Am I missing something?
I think the reason that is implied, right, is because Mac Jones is going to lose his job as soon as Purdy can play, and Daniel Jones isn't losing his job ever. He's the quarterback. Mac Jones is filling in. Mac Jones has played great. I agree with you. And they're two guys, in my opinion, they're two very similar guys because they're good quarterbacks, but they need the right situation to thrive, and they're both in it right now. Right. So I listen, I want Mac Jones to do well. I didn't. It's funny. I wasn't a big Mac Jones fan, remember, when he drafted him, but I became a big Mac Jones fan early on in that first season, and they just destroyed him. But I like to see.
I'm going to tell you that is a heck of a story. What happened at New England, where you give Belichick the kudos for Jones's rookie year, and then, like you said, I mean, it just shows you what coaching can do for some of these quarterbacks. But then again, you get other quarterbacks. If it's a high-profile NFL quarterback, he's independent enough not to let coaching ruin him. He can fight back and tell the coaches, no, I'm not doing this. This is how I want it. And they'll have no choice but to at least meet him halfway because they're not going to bench him. But Mac Jones wasn't quite in that position after a while, and Belichick put him in the doghouse.
And Belichick got, I don't know whether his age or whatever, he got very bitter and very paranoid near the end of his reign at New England. The thing that really, where that whole relationship jumped the shark, Jones and Belichick, is when Jones was struggling in that second year, and he went to the Alabama coaches to try to get some help straightening out, and Belichick found out about it, and I swear to you, he never forgave him for that, and all he wanted to do was chase him out of the organization. So.
That situation is complex because one of Bill Belichick's best friends is Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Now, when he went there, Saban was the coach.
He was, but he didn't go to Saban. He went to the.
Yeah, but how can Mac Jones expect Saban not to find out? And I wonder what. But then again, the Patriots drafted Mac Jones 15th, and you better believe Belichick checked with Nick Saban whether it was worth picking him there, and Saban signed off on it.
100%. 100%.
Right. So I don't understand why Mac Jones didn't talk to Nick Saban, because that would have had some damage control because of how close Belichick and Saban were. You saw like a few weeks ago when Saban was doing one of those game day things, they had Belichick as a guest, and Saban rarely smiled. But he smiled when he saw Belichick and he patted him on the shoulder. It was like you could see the affection was there, the bond between the two of them. By the way, for those who don't know, Saban coached, as a young coach, he coached under Bill Belichick, the Cleveland Browns.
He did. And he said it wasn't pretty.
Wow. Hard to believe. Belichick, coach of the Cleveland Browns.
By the way, Danny, for years and over the decades, I think I wouldn't call Joe Montana and Steve Young anybody. I mean, they're both in the Hall of Fame, for crying out loud. I think they're pretty good quarterbacks. I don't think it's just anybody. Now, they did win with Elvis Gerback and Steve Bono and guys like that, but
Garcia.
Alex
Garcia. But I'm going to tell you that for some reason the Niners, people think they could win with a lot of quarterbacks traditionally, because when Joe Montana was considered by many the greatest quarterback of all time when he was winning those Super Bowls, people were telling me, I think they could also win the Super Bowls with Steve Young. And maybe that was true, but it doesn't diminish Montana. Young was a Hall of Fame in his own right.
100%. 100%. We're speaking of, actually, let me go back to the 49ers real quick before we jump off
Taylor is the MVP of the Colts, not Daniel Jones. So please, Daniel Jones MVP talks with the year Jonathan Taylor's having. He's having a Saquon Barkley type year.
That's fair. To me, I was going to talk about a couple of signature wins yesterday, and I thought the 49ers, even though the Falcons had been playing better football, I think that's a signature win. With all the injuries they have, this team can compete in that division. I think the Colts, unless the Chargers are a lot worse than we think they are, because they did lose to the Giants.
3 out of 4, and they barely won the one game,
maybe they're not as good as we thought they were, but this is still a really good win for the Colts on the road, I think, although I don't know how much of a home field advantage the Chargers have there in LA, but still.
The Colts are for real. The Colts are for real as far as making the playoffs. Daniel Jones is very efficient. Jonathan Taylor is at this moment, the best running back in the NFL at this moment. I'm not talking about what guys have done in the past or what necessarily they're going to do in the future, the rest of the year, but he's had the best year and all running backs in the NFL, Jonathan Taylor. He got Pittman to throw to. Tyler Warren, tight end, is one of the best rookies that came out of the draft. And the offensive line is giving them time. And the defense has been okay, the Colts, all in all. Nothing great, but they've gotten the job done.
And their coach picked the right quarterback, because I don't think they'd be doing this with I don't know, but I don't believe they'd be doing this with Anthony Richardson behind center. So we can't
we'll never know. We'll never know. Poor Anthony Richardson, he hurts himself in the pregame warm-up. We might chuckle and laugh. We feel for him, but the guy who's injury-prone, when you're hurting yourself during warm-ups, man.
That's a bad
And he's
situation.
Like a forgotten man. But I'm going to tell you, Anthony Richardson and guys like him are still extremely valuable to a team. Because if the quarterback has to go out, a guy like Anthony Richardson, he's experienced at this point as being a Colt quarterback, and he knows the system. He actually has value, so people shouldn't just laugh it off. Oh, Anthony Richardson, if he got healthy and he had to take over, it would be a blow if they lost Daniel Jones for any amount of time.
100%.
But Anthony Richardson would be capable of getting the job done. Whether he would get it done or not, who knows? And for the Colts' sake, hopefully it never comes to that.
What's Danny talking about here? Danny, by the way, you're welcome for Jones and or jinxing the Chargers yesterday. So, well, yeah, that's my point. He's a pretty good quarterback.
Montana was great. No one's downplaying Montana.
Yeah, I think
Montana
anybody.
was great.
Referring to those guys, but
I could point out Steve Young's one game in the Super Bowl against the San Diego Chargers. He was great. What did he throw? Like 6 touchdown passes? Keith,
he's right momentum up
like a lot of right picks, Danny, with the momentum.
He just goes against me. That's all he does, and he picks the right games. I had 3 winners that I bet yesterday, but I just don't. When it comes to the whole card, we're struggling. What are you going to do? What was I want to go on to the Kansas City Chiefs. Get Rashid Rice back yesterday. They'd already been starting to get their act together without him. He has a pretty good game yesterday, only 42 yards, but 7 catches, 2 touchdowns. And they're playing the Raiders, but the Chiefs, every year I say, you're writing the Chiefs off too soon. This team is still a viable championship contender.
I kind of wrote them off. I picked them to go to the playoffs this year, but not the Super Bowl. I'm going to tell you, let's say hypothetically, Keith, the playoffs began this weekend, and the Chiefs were one of the teams in the playoffs. I don't know what the brackets would be. I didn't look at it because it just popped into my head. I think they would be, actually.
We got more than half the season to play.
Right, exactly. Is there who would be the favorite to come out of the AFC at this moment? It might be the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs could be the favorite.
I feel like the Indianapolis Colts is playing great. They've been great.
Yep.
But would you, if the Chiefs had to go into Indianapolis and play them, I think the Chiefs would beat Indianapolis as well as Indianapolis has been playing.
And Danny kind of agrees with what we're just talking about. The Chiefs are the best.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Right now, again, a lot of football to be played. We're all excited. I'm excited at 5-2 with the Patriots, who get kind of a boring win. I watched a recap after the Patriot game last night, and one of the analysts was talking about the fact that, you know what really felt familiar? The fact that this was a boring win, and it reminds us of the games you went in during the 20-year run where you just expected to win, and the game was, okay, great, we won, and move on.
I got a question to ask you, because you're the college guru and I'm not. You've seen these rookies when they played in college. A Jackson Dart, I like what I see. He's going to just get better and better. I really like what I see. I see a lot of upside. I could say now unhesitatingly, he's the Giants starter going forward. Case closed. The Giants don't have to worry. They have their quarterback. How good he ultimately is going to be remains to be seen, but they got their quarterback.
Yeah.
Is that necessarily the case at Tennessee? Is Cam Ward really going to get a lot better? Is he really that good?
No.
Because if Tennessee's going to, when you pick a guy first overall, you stick with him forever, it seems. And it's like you're throwing good money after bad money.
And again, it's hard to kind of quantify because of there's not talent around him. I think that as little talent as Jackson Dart has, might be better than Kansas City or I'm sorry, Tennessee's.
It's not Malik Neighbors Jackson Dart. Keep that in mind.
No, I know that, but the Tennessee's just devoid of talent. But what I see in watching him play yesterday for the first time since he's been a pro, and I watched him every game at Miami, being a Hurricane fan, he relies too much on. He throws off balance. His footwork is not good. His accuracy sometimes is off. He tries to force balls places he shouldn't. You get away with that in college. You get away with bad mechanics, and they get better. Jackson Dart's mechanics were questioned coming into the NFL. I can see in a couple games that he's played, his mechanics are much, much better. When he runs the ball, and Drake May was a great example of this last year. Last year when Drake May ran the football or started to get in trouble and moved out of the pocket, he wasn't looking downfield anymore. He was looking down. Jackson Dart, now he's looking up, and he's looking to make a play on the move. Jackson Dart's already doing that, I think, a couple of games into his season. Cam Ward isn't doing those things, and that's what worries me about him. Maybe it's coaching. Again, they've had a coaching change there, so maybe he'll get better. You got to give him time. It's 1 year, and they're going to get better. And you see guys like Darnold who take years to actually get it, right? And some of it's
Is it a question of a change of scenery? Had Sam Darnold been a career Jet, let's say they never moved on from him, would he have enjoyed a semblance of the success he had? Because some guys stay with it. Yeah, but some guys do blossom after a while.
You have to.
Smith blossomed after a while, even though he's not so now.
After moving on, right?
He kicked around. He was with Buffalo. He was with the Giants.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys just need to get in a different situation, exercise the demons that they have from where they were, because, once they get in your head, Sam Darnold seeing ghosts, for instance, right? Very famously said.
Bill Belichick had the whammy over Sam Darnold. Man, oh, man.
But literally, I think getting out of town clears some of those demons out of your head, and you get to start over.
I got a new job for Bill Belichick when he leaves North Carolina. The most perfect job for him. And even though I'm joking around, I'm serious as well. You hire him as an advisor week for week for no particular team. For example, if your team's playing the Seattle Seahawks, You let him set up the defense against Sam Darnold. He has the whammy over Darnold.
You know what? He probably doesn't need to set up the defense. He can just stand on the sideline and Darnold.
He's Belichick, Darnold. Oh, man.
That's a good one. That's a good one. What other games are of interest? So the Cowboys, I'm listening to Cowboy fans. I'm in some of the chat rooms last night looking. They think that's a signature win. They beat the Redskins. But the Redskins had like 3 healthy wide receivers. Their best one not playing. Daniels gets hurt, comes out of the game. Are the Cowboys good at 3-3-1? Or I'm not seeing it.
I'm going to tell you. You know who the best quarterback has been in the league this year? I'm not saying most valuable because you and I are on the same page between most valuable and best. Dak Prescott, in my opinion, has been the best quarterback in the NFL this year. Maybe just by a little or whatever. He's been great. They haven't missed a beat. And yesterday, once again, he was outstanding. And when you give him 2 receivers like, Lamb and Pickens, I mean, come on. I mean, Dak has shown great leadership. You know what I think the problem was with the Commanders? And this is with any team, and I've discussed it in the past. One of the worst things you could do is get too good too soon. Because when you take a giant leap up one year, that's beyond everyone's expectations, like the Commanders did last year, getting to the NFC Championship game. No one expected anything close to that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Guess what? Now you've staked the claim to that position, and people are looking at you to improve. You're not allowed to slide back. Had the Commanders gone 8-9 last year and not make the playoffs, people wouldn't be uptight about what's going on this year. They'd say, if we could go 10-7, it would be a really good year.
Teams often, and I've seen this a lot. I saw it with the Patriots back. We talked about Parcells and Drew Bledsoe. They took a big step forward in Bledsoe's second year and made the playoffs. In the third year, they regressed a little bit, but then improved from there. And I see it a lot with teams exactly like what you're talking about. That year after you surprise people, you take a step back, and then maybe everything comes together. So I'm not going to say the team formerly known as the Redskins.
And I will say something with the Jets. The Jets 0-7. And as far as the team bouncing back now, one of Aaron Glenn's mentors is Bill Parcells. He's actually a mentor to Sean Payton as well, ironically.
Always was.
Bill Parcells had 1 year with the Jets where they were 2-8. And they won their last 6 games to go 8-8. And we didn't have social media all over us. At the time, they were 2-8. Could you imagine how irritated Bill Parcells would have gotten with social media?
Oh, God.
Imagine that.
His head would blow up.
Yeah, especially when they were 2 and they won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
And to me, I forgot the year. That was a meaningful season to me. No playoffs, but I was proud we could win 6 in a row and even out our record at 500. It
was like 97 or 98, I think it was.
Yeah, whatever. But
was it Ray Lucas playing quarterback for that team a lot of the time?
I like Justin Fields as a quarterback more than Ray Lucas, by the way. I was thinking the other day, the Jets had, during the Joe Namath era after they won the Super Bowl, they had a backup named Al Woodle. And there was one game that Namath and Al Woodle were both out injured, and they were on the sideline, and the Jets went with this quarterback called Bill Demery. And they won a game 6-3, and Demery's being interviewed after. And all Demery would kept saying, I'm just glad we won the game. I'm just glad we won the game. Yeah, what else can he say? 6-3, certainly can't talk about his performance, so he didn't want to. I'm glad we won the game.
To Brian's comment here, I love Ferguson a lot, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Jake Ferguson.
He's a really, really good player. He's got
Right
weapons. You mentioned a couple of them, the wide receivers, but don't forget Ferguson. And they're running the football pretty well. Williams is running the ball well. It's their defense. If their defense, somebody said it here a second ago.
The defense showed up yesterday. Their defense showed up. Jaden Daniels, what's happening to Jaden Daniels is what happened to C.J. Stroud in his second year. They performed too good for their own good in their rookie year, and their expectations were through the roof. or what? Jaden Daniels hasn't been bad this year when he's played. And
He's been hurt a lot.
Hasn't been bad,
Yeah.
but they're nowhere near what they were in their rookie year.
No, and you got to remember too. I mean, again, I don't want their reasons. They're not just excuses. He's been banged up. His wide receivers have been banged up all year. McLaurin's been hurt virtually the whole year except for a game or two. Didn't play again yesterday. So that affects a young quarterback. But again, he's kind of playing through it. You know, he's better than Mac Jones was in year two.
You survive. I shouldn't be comparing anyone to Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes is, one of the all-time greats. But when Patrick Mahomes is down all his receivers earlier, he was functioning. Not as well as you can if you have all your receivers there, but he was getting the job done on balance.
And Danny, I'm not allowed to talk about Joe Namath on my shows anymore. John Gonzalez has banned me from talking about Joe Namath.
Well, why is that?
Because I said he was one of the most overrated players in the Hall of Fame one time, and I
No,
didn't mean
you forget it. You know,
I didn't mean as just his numbers. That's all I said. Again, the game's different, and I don't want to have to explain myself again, but.
This is what gets me,
John took exception.
With people, and even with guys like you. I kind of back John Gonzalez over you, I think, in the argument.
Most people do.
Because, no, you can point to numbers, hard numbers.
He belongs in the Hall of Fame. I didn't say he didn't.
I take the naked eye test. When Namath was playing during his prime, people were talking in terms of Namath being one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. They were comparing him to Johnny Unitas. Okay, at the time, Namath, and the thought was the Jets can't win without Namath. That way, I mean, he was the guy at the time. But I understand what you're saying. If you're pointing to his stats and the amount of seasons he had,
well, the game's different, so I'm going to give him that, right? And first of all, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. He won the most important game in the history of the NFL.
Yeah,
right. So, God bless him. He's a great player and a great ambassador for the NFL. But if you just took the name off him and you didn't know he won Super Bowl I, if you didn't know that, I'm Super Bowl III, if you didn't know that and put the numbers in front of you, how many quarterbacks are, and there's probably a couple, that are in there with more interceptions and touchdowns in their career? Not many.
I mean, but it's a thin line. One game makes all the difference in how someone's perceived. Now, one of the greatest
he doesn't belong. I'm not saying he doesn't belong. I'm just not. I'm saying he's the most. He's not. I don't want to keep saying overrated. He's not the best quarterback in the Hall of Fame, or even close.
No, he's not the great. But I will say this: during the time when Montana and Elway and Marino were in their prime, and Buddy Ryan was the head coach of the Eagles, they asked Buddy Ryan, if you could just have one quarterback on your team on the history of football starting for you, who would that be? And Buddy Ryan said Joe Namath.
That's interesting.
But Buddy Ryan was a
defensive
coordinator on the Jets when they won the Super Bowl. And Buddy Ryan loved Joe Namath as a person, how bold he was, how cool he was. He loved Joe Willie. So he would have had, could you imagine Buddy Ryan could have really done that? They were all young men. Montana, Marino, Elway. And Buddy Ryan said, screw you to everyone who wants him to pick, Tom Brady could have been born then. He would have still taken Joe Willie Namath. I would have loved it.
Good morning or good afternoon.
From the UK, the Rams beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're handling, no contest.
That was
last game in London this year. I'm going to tell you funny. We talked about environment, high altitude in Denver early in the show. It didn't quite work out that way. The Jacksonville Jaguars go to England a week early to get used to the time difference, to this and that. And the Rams fly there the day before the Rams.
I took the Rams simply because of their travel plans. Danny said every team now ought to fly in on Saturday because they play late.
I don't think the flight gets you as much as the weather, the altitude, and those conditions of the cold. I don't think a flight, you can relax on the flight. I know it's a pain in the butt, waiting for the plane, taking your belongings, sitting there all those hours, going across country. I get all that. It's not always the most pleasant thing. But I think it's a mindset at that point. But I think the other factors are physical.
It's probably worse for you and I traveling to London than NFL players, I'm going to guess. My guess is they aren't flying commercial when they go to London. So I'm just thinking. His hologram is the best in the NFL. Talking about Namath again. I'll agree with that, by the way.
I didn't like Buddy Ryan. I like Rex. I like Rex, not Buddy.
Buddy was an acquired taste for sure.
Jaguars, pretenders, the contenders. The Jacksonville Jaguars are tweeners. They're like a basketball player who's talented enough to play in the NBA, but they don't have a position. They don't handle the ball well enough to play guard. They're not big and strong enough to play power forward. They might squeak out a wild card, maybe, but I'm not sure. They beat the 49ers a couple of weeks ago, So
yeah.
They show you what they could do in games like that. And they beat the Chiefs. They show you what they could do in a game like that. And then they get blown out by the Rams.
Danny goes against both of us and apparently wins all the time.
I'm kind of proud of myself. Something yesterday on the Sunday football show, Keith.
Yeah.
I got into not a heated debate, but a debate about the Eagles against the Vikings, how the Eagles to change their offense. And I heard from Brian and James, no, they got to run the ball. They got to run the ball. They got to dump pass the ball. They got 2 Rolls-Royce receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Thankfully, Nick Sirianni listened to me. He got the passing game going. When you have 2 studs like that, use them. Saquon Barkley's great, and you'll go back to running the ball with him on and off. But those receivers have they're the ones who are going to ultimately have to take you all the way if you hope to get there.
Well, Barkley at least got 19 touches and not 11 yesterday, so at least he's getting the ball somewhat.
He hasn't been running the ball that well with his touches. They
ran for 45 yards yesterday. They're not winning. They're not winning at all. Run the ball for 45 yards. They're not. They're just not going to do it.
No, they've got to get back to running the ball as well. But I don't want to hear, that. You want a well-balanced attack, but when you got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, those guys are great. Any team of receivers like that has got to, they've got to pass the ball a lot.
I do want to touch on this. We were talking about the London game, and I read about this 3 or 4 weeks ago that Roger Goodell wants to have 1 international game a week. There'll be 17 international games, and theoretically everybody would play a game. I don't know how the logistics would work there, but close to everybody would play a game overseas. Do we want to see 17 games in London?
They're trying to build up the brand all over the world.
How big do you need to build?
In all fairness, when you should schedule a team for one of those games, the teams that are coming off a bye week, so they could get there comfortably. It's hard, and there's security issues as well.
How fair is it to the fans who are paying, through the nose for tickets and lose a home game? And it's just, I don't know. And you know what? I think they want that TV window as well. They get a TV window now from 9 o'clock until midnight. So it
depends the type of game you have, Keith. If it was a Patriot home game, I know they played at Tennessee yesterday, but if they were playing the Titans at home, the fans wouldn't get too upset losing that game. But if the Patriot fans lost a Buffalo Bill home game to host the Bills, that wouldn't go over that well.
It would not go over well. One more thing here. I want to move on to a little bit of a couple other things before we have to wrap it up. James, without hesitation, took the Aints yesterday. Revenge games are good, but you got to have talent to win revenge games. And I don't think the Saints have enough talent to beat. Listen, Chicago's got really good talent. They played well yesterday. They did let the Saints back in the game. They didn't really put their foot on their neck and finish it. But I like the Bears. There's another team, real or not real. I think the Bears are for real.
Well, they've won 4 games in a row. I don't think they're for real. I don't think they're a threat to go to the Super Bowl, but they're improving. They'll have a winning record when the year's over. They've taken, and under Ben Johnson, their new coach, they've taken the next step.
And I like the fact
very successful year for the Bears, but they're not a Super Bowl contender.
I like the fact he holds these guys accountable. A couple of weeks ago, he ripped them in a press conference, and I'm guarantee you he worked their asses off that week, and that's when they started their winning streak. So, there's something to be said for that. Real quick, we're going into Game 7. It's hard to believe we're skipping over Game 7 so much, but it feels like maybe the Dodgers are who you think they are. And I love Game 7s in playoffs. We got Kirby against Justin Bieber's brother Shane tonight. Listen, the old home teams now have taken control after not winning any games.
Shane Bieber's not Justin Bieber's brother.
I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got me thinking. Come on, Keith. You threw me a curve.
Could be his father.
I was offside on that one. Yeah.
You're the only guy who would have said no.
I was watching also the game yesterday, the Mariners and the Blue Jays. And the Mariners would keep getting guys on base, hitting into double plays and not delivering a big hit. Whichever team wins, it's kind of good for baseball in the way they break a drought. I'm kind of pulling for the Mariners because the franchise has never gone to a World Series. I want them to go to one World Series once. I pull for teams to get that. But to Toronto Blue Jays, when you look at it, Keith, it's been over 30 years since they went to a World Series, so they have a heck of a drought as well. So one of them is going to potentially break a drought, and the other is going to get somewhere for the first time. And either one is going to, isn't going to threaten the Dodgers. The Dodgers are going to just walk through either one.
Yeah, and Barger and Yusevich are the kind of that led them to victory last night. Two names you wouldn't have thought about a few months ago, leading the Blue Jays to victory. I like the Mariners tonight. I'm curious, Danny, whether you want the Mariners because you think it's an easier matchup, or you just want to see those two pitching staffs. Because I don't
have to worry, Danny. The Dodgers are going to win 4 straight, whoever they play.
I don't think it'll be 4 straight, but I think they will win. And by the way, let's not let this, because you and I haven't talked about it real quick. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, postseason. It's not the World Series. Danny points out it wasn't a World Series, but postseason games in history by Ohtani on Friday night. 3 home runs, pitched 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. Nobody's
one of the greats, but not the greatest. It was a low-pressure type game. Let's not get carried away. That's 3-0. Ohtani could have pitched the worst game in his career, and the Dodgers could have lost 27-0. And it would have mattered little because they would have been up 3-1 and they would have won a Game 5. They weren't under pressure. It wasn't like it was 2 games apiece.
Well, if they lost 27-0, you only would have had one half of this whole formula of why this is one of the greatest games in postseason history, because he struck out 10 guys in 6 innings pitched. And
listen, Jack Morris's 1-0 10-inning shutout in Game 7 of the 1991 World Series when the Twins beat the Atlanta Braves. That's the greatest postseason performance of all time. Now,
that was a great game. That was a great game.
Lawson's perfect game. It was 2 games apiece. Yeah, that was a great performance all in all, but give me Jack Morris's Game 7, that 10-inning gem.
When I was thinking about this, and yesterday on my show, I was talking about some of the great performances that are equal or maybe even better than this. I did not remember Jack Morris's 10-inning game. That was a great, great game. And he was like about 40 years old, too, at the time, too, I think.
He would not let the manager, Tom Kelly, take him out of that game. And had that game gone more than 10 innings, wow, what a fight they would have had, because Morris was not coming out under any condition. And when the game was over, Tom Kelly questioned himself. He second-guessed himself. He says, I can't believe I let Jack Morris go 10 innings.
Well, Tom he won the Kelly game in the series.
Was basically saying, I may have screwed up. But they won the game. He didn't screw up. But
for those of you guys who maybe younger guys who think 1-0 baseball is boring, go back and watch that game and tell me you're bored.
The tension involved in that game, in that series,
it was awesome.
It was a beautiful 1-0 game.
Agree 100%. Before we go, Jack, we'll take a couple extra minutes if we have to. What bring us up to speed on some stuff going on in the world of boxing?
Very quickly.
As we lead into Gun Fist tonight.
There was a show Saturday night, right, at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Danny Gonzalez, who's fought at the Barclays Center like 9 times before in his biggest fights of his career. He's from Philadelphia. He promoted the show at the Barclays Center. He'd made good money. It was his farewell fight at the Barclays Center. He was retiring. Well, he wins over fighter Danny Gonzalez. And after the fight, of course, Danny Garcia says, I'm not sure whether I'm going to retire or not, because he's sniffing maybe a nice money fight again. I can't take this. Guys announcing their farewell fight, and then when their farewell fight's over, maybe I'll continue a little more. Whatever. But we'll discuss that and other topics tonight on Glove Fist, myself and Frank Luterzo, 7 p.m. Eastern time.
7 p.m. Eastern, and we'll share the show either live or once I remember to share it, we'll share it on TGI Sports Talk as well. So say hi to Frank for me. And guys, great show today. Very spirited. You guys were very involved. We like that. Jack, great show. You are the sports guru.
No, if you saw my predictions and went back on them, you would shake your head.
We have fun.
I picked the Dolphins to beat the Browns. Look how that turned out.
Well, you flip a coin in that game because that's a broken windshield game. So we don't want that.
The Jets to beat the Panthers. That's even worse.
Check out Jack and Frank tonight at 7 p.m. I'll be on live Wednesday night at 7 with the college football huddle, and catch us on the unprofessional sports show at 6 o'clock before that. Guys, see you later. Have a great week. Bye-bye.